So, can you use a mouse on the Vision Pro yet? The answer is yes and no. The answer is if you're in the Steam Link, you can use a mouse within the Steam Link. So, what that means is you have Steam loaded up on your PC, and then you use that to virtually connect in through the Steam Link app on the Vision Pro. It treats it like an iPad app, but it's just another window you can make huge in front of you. And I wanted to try to show you a more generalized example of how it would look if you had multiple windows and one of them was your Steam Link with your computer. So as a reminder, your computer's kind of acting as a headless unit right now, and you're accessing it through this. Now, it's not just limited to Steam games. This is Star Citizen, which is a game that is not on Steam, and it's pretty responsive. The biggest problem I had was actually with my keyboard. It's a very cheap wireless keyboard, and I was in another room, and there's pretty thick walls between the 7800X3D computer that's sitting in where I'm recording and where I was sitting while I was doing this. But because the system's wireless, I literally, after this couple scenes, I literally just was able to relocate in another part of that room so it was closer to the walls that were blocking me, and literally it worked fine. So, and the keyboard is extremely cheap. It's one of the cheaper Logitech efficiency type wireless keyboards for good battery life, not necessarily for good connectivity. So I'm going to be looking into getting like a gaming keyboard, preferably with 2 connections. That's me literally raising the keyboard, by the way. Now, that's one of the limitations with this. With the Vision Pro, if you use a Magic Keyboard, which is the Apple keyboard, it'll actually virtually render it in, is my understanding. Or at the very least, it has a little overlay that kind of gives you a hint of where the keyboard is. But you know where your keyboard is. Your hands are literally resting on the keyboard, and you can feel the weight of it if it's sitting on your lap. So it's not that hard to find your keys. The keys themselves, though, because I wasn't using a gaming keyboard that had like a little carve out for the WASD, were a little sometimes difficult to catch. I didn't realize it, but I must be in the periphery of my edge of my view. I'm actually looking for them or something without even thinking about it. Even though I can type without looking at the keys, I must use a small indicator there. So once again, if I get a gaming keyboard, I'll try to get one with that overlay. I put in a tiny little bit of Battlebit here just to show the responsiveness. Once again, the keyboard was the only thing that limited me until I relocated. So some of these clips are before and after I relocated, but this one is after. And the mouse was performing flawlessly, and it was the same cheap Logitech wireless gaming mouse. I guess you could call it an efficiency mouse, really. And yeah, I mean, it did the job. So I think that the systems do pretty well. I tried some experimental thing here where I was trying to use the touch capabilities, because in the Steam Link you can change the type of overlay when you go to launch. When you go to launch the game, there's like a controls overlay, it calls it. It's like a symbol with a controller, and you can change the type of controls you have. But I quickly realized that a mouse and keyboard in a lot of games is actually probably better. It depends on the game. But I tried experimentally working around like the idea of, can I just touch screen? And I thought Parkitect, which is the Roller Coaster Tycoon modern Roller Coaster Tycoon remake, I thought this would be a perfect example of something where you could use touch and pinch and stuff like that to be able to work around all the different technologies on it and work the game. It's not exactly perfect, but I figured it's worth a shot. So the gist is that this is a game actually that would probably be too computationally advanced for the Vision Pro, but it works just fine through the Steam Link, of course, because all of these games you're seeing are not being rendered on the Vision Pro. Just as a reminder, they're working off the computer, and then it's streaming at a significantly good speeds over my Wi-Fi connection to my Vision Pro in another room. This is probably the hardest, most computational game I have aside from Star Citizen, so I figured I'd throw it in. Furthest Frontier, I saw massive improvements when I switched over to my 7800X3D coming from a very old Intel chip. And this game was performing great across the board, and it should. But I figured once again, you have to test it. I can't just say it. So the deal here is the computation is all being put on this on this normal sized PC that's very efficient, and it's able to do all the computationals and leave the visual experience, the UI, back on Vision Pro. Now, there are some limitations to this system. Like I talked about with the keyboards, you want to have good connectivity with your keyboard and mouse. Try to look for a keyboard and mouse that keyboard that have the capability to flip between two sources. So one Wi-Fi, one Bluetooth seems to be the go-to right now, and that's something I'm looking for myself, and as a future upgrade. And also, remember that you cannot use a mouse on the Vision Pro. They have artificially prevented it. They only allow the trackpad, the Magic Trackpad, or a MacBook Pro where you have your hand on the trackpad area that's smaller than the traditional wireless Magic Trackpad. It's kind of a little bit of a nuisance, and I hope a third party fixes it, or Apple gets around to setting up the mouse, because if the trackpad works, I don't care if it's not perfect. I really do want the mouse capability, because then I can have the perfect combination of I can do mouse and keyboard for productivity and gaming on both the headset UI, because as soon as you leave this area, you're still using the touch UI. So just to be clear, at any point while this is running, I could absolutely just turn to my right or left and start running things. And on that Safari, it was on the right on the YouTube right there. That's just a splash page of youtube.com, because I just wanted something up there where I didn't want to leave personal stuff up there. And then on the left, I actually have all through this, I had a movie running, and then when I went to record, I had to shut it off because of copyright things. So there's a Finest Hours, the story of the Coast Guard team that saved all the people on one of the stricken freighters and stuff. Great movie. That's what I had running while I was recording this and having a good time. So this is a general experience I have on the Vision Pro. This was recorded on 1.0.3, which is the latest version right now. And once again, the UI is very interesting. This is what I've been trying to set up. If you're looking at this and going, how could I? If you already have a Vision Pro, definitely do this. You go into your Steam settings, boot up Steam, top left corner, go to Steam, like the main options, go to settings, and then right in there is the virtual link. You can set your PIN, make it something that you remember, something that's not easy to guess, but something you'll remember. Because each time when you link up with the app, it'll ask you to put that PIN back in. If your computer's discoverable, pretty much you just type it, you just click, oh yeah, that's the Steam, and that's it. You have to leave the computer on with Steam running in order for this to all function. So you're kind of using your computer as a headless server, so to speak, or a resource. And all I mean by that is that it's not utilizing its screens in front of you. But you should leave one screen on. The rationale for that is some GPUs, in fact most, tend to go into a power saving mode if there's no detected screen. It doesn't understand that you're going to randomly log in virtually from another location to this screen. So you could probably put the screen into standby or something, perhaps. You can experiment with that yourself. But at the very least, do it live, see how it goes for you, and then kind of work backwards. That's kind of my next step right now, as I have to figure out the standbys for these. I have looked around online, and I found that there is such a thing as a dummy connection where you can plug it into an HDMI port or a display port on your video card, and that kind of tricks the video card into thinking there's another display, and you can even tell it which resolution you want, which is very interesting. So I got to do a little more research. Apparently they're really cheap. I have to do some research on those and kind of see which one will work best for my needs. But that's going to do it for now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and thank you to my long-term subscribers. And put in the comments, I got to tell you, I haven't seen a lot of content for the Vision Pro from primarily a PC user perspective. I do have an iPhone, and I now have a Vision Pro, but I don't have a very high-powered Mac sitting around. And I do have a decent PC, so that's kind of what I'm kind of going for here. And this is kind of, to me, exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be able to utilize the Vision Pro and also utilize my computer all into one spatial computing aspect, and for productivity and for gaming. In this case, I highlighted gaming because that's what the Steam system's pretty good at. But once again, it can stream your entire desktop, including other programs like you saw Star Citizen running. And it's not flawless. There is some excess, like input output things you have to focus on, like getting your controller versus keyboard and mouse. Make sure to specify keyboard and mouse when you jump into a game. And also, like I just talked about earlier, the economy Logitech type wireless stuff, all when you're walking all over the house and setting it up and everything, might not be your best option depending on your setup. If you're always in a one room or two rooms that are right there within line of sight of the desktop, that might be a little different. So your mileage may vary, but these are the experiences I'm experiencing. And once again, I hope this helps you out. And also for people that are considering the Vision Pro, it's worth it. It is. It's expensive. And that's the biggest hurdle I hate to say, because this is what I've been waiting for. I just hope that there's a new iteration of it that's way cheaper within a reasonable amount of time. I've heard rumors of a non-pro model. Who knows if that's ever going to happen, when or whatever. But that would be what we really need right now. We need a system that's a little less bells and whistles, that has 95% of all the capabilities of the actual usability, and that I think would be a really huge win, because we need something in that lower tier so I can tell them, hey, if you're not excited about that much, get this. All right. Once again, thanks again for being here. Take care. One small little addition here. Do note that when you see blurry edges to some of these videos and such, I am not seeing that. The way this system works is that it's a concept of foveated rendering, or some variation of that concept that it's using. So the edges of your eye can't really see the same level of detail that the center of your eye is looking at. And so this thing detects where your eyes are looking, and it makes that super, super sharp and looks perfect and beautiful. And then the edges are blurry. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you watch these type of recordings from the Vision Pro, and I'm sure future HMDs that also have that tracking capability. They're purposely doing that, and I do not notice anything of that sort while I'm using it. Believe me, I'd bring it up if that was the case. All right, real this time. Have a good night.